Welcome, folks, one and all, to Let's Play Eye of the Beholder 3 Assault on Myth Drannor, released in 1993 for the PC. Developed and published by SSI, Eye of the Beholder 3 is a dungeon-crawling role-playing game, the last in the Eye of the Beholder trilogy, and the first not to be developed by Westwood Associates. Westwood Associates have been acquired by Virgin Interactive Entertainment in 1992, but they did go on to release a dungeon-crawling role-playing game in the same year that this game came out. That game was Lands of Lore: The Throne of Chaos, and that game is my favourite dungeon-crawling role-playing game, period. I'm going to be comparing Eye of the Beholder 3 to Lands of Lore as I play, because Lands of Lore came out roughly at the same time, and people would have made that comparison considering that Westwood Associates made Eye of the Beholder 1 and 2. SSI did not get a good reception to this game when it came out. People believed it was rushed, and had many flaws that marred the end of this trilogy, which is a shame. But I'm going to give this game a fair chance to impress me, much like how I gave Eye of the Beholder 1 and 2 that same chance. From what I've heard, this game does do a few things right. It has added an attack all button, and people with polearms are able to attack from the middle row at long last. There were people that told me that that was possible in Eye of the Beholder 2, it's only possible in this game. As for the plot of this game, it's relatively simple. The heroes of Darkmoon are in a tavern, regaling the tavern folk with their many tales in the hopes that they'll get a few free drinks. Whereupon, a shady and mysterious character appears and offers them a dangerous quest, and I'm calling it now, the shady patron that offered us this quest is the villain. Definitely the villain. He's got all the hallmarks of a villain. A shifty look when he enters a tavern, ragged long fingernails, a tattered cloak, and the fact that he teleported the party immediately towards Myth Drannor, without giving them any time to prepare. I wonder why he did that. A considerate patron would have given them a little bit of time to prepare, perhaps get the other companions that weren't in the tavern at the time. But no, immediately they're off to Myth Drannor, and trust me, from Waterdeep to Myth Drannor is a long, long distance. With the plot explained, it's time to go over the various options that are available to us. We can watch the introduction again. We can abandon the quest, which really isn't possible because we haven't started the quest. We can load the game, including a quick start party that are there. We can gather a new party, making an entirely new set of adventurers. But we're not going to be doing that. We're going to be summoning the heroes of Darkmoon from the previous game: Valendra, Sandstar, Rune, and Lilanva. This is not a smoother way of doing it, however, as it was in Eye of the Beholder 1 to 2. For a start, you have to transfer the file from Eye of the Beholder 2 into Eye of the Beholder 3 and rename it as transfer. Then you have to consider that while this part remains the same, your Eye of the Beholder 2 characters will retain their attribute scores as well as most of their spells and equipment. However, items which are no longer useful or relevant will not be transferred. Do you wish to proceed? What they're not telling you is that unlike the transfer between 1 and 2, you don't get to directly pick which 4 party members will be transferred into Eye of the Beholder 3. The ones in the front row and the ones in the middle row will be the ones that get transferred, regardless of who they are. If you remember back to the end of my Eye of the Beholder 2 LP, that would mean that Sandstar and Lilanva would not be in the Eye of the Beholder 3 party. So I had to go back to the save just before the final boss in Eye of the Beholder 2 and swap things around, move people into the correct positions and change their equipment around. With that done, it is time to transfer the party and begin the assault on Myth Drannor. Will they be victorious, or will this be their final adventure? Not because it is the final in the trilogy, but because they all die. Let's hope that doesn't happen, shall we? As we begin the final adventure. I don't know why we couldn't have just taken a wagon to Myth Drannor. Surely it's not that far away. Roughly 1,200 miles from Waterdeep, and only 200 miles away from Hillsfar. Of course you'd mention Hillsfar. Quiet. We are not alone. Oh, we're really not alone. They're ghosts. Why are we in a graveyard full of ghosts? Perhaps the person that teleported us here didn't know this place was now haunted. Or perhaps the person that teleported us here is evil and wants to get us killed. It would be a fine way to eliminate the heroes of Waterdeep, sending them into a trap full of undead. It's not going to be too difficult for us to take care of them, and once we've put these ghosts to rest, we can consider our situation. It's our duty to put these spectres to rest. Their spirits are being tormented by the evil in this place. Still, ghosts. Of all the enemies we could face here, ghosts. What happened to fighting wolves and kobolds? You there! Halt! I am Florin Falconhand, leader of the Knights of Drannor, and we are here to discourage any further looting from this once great city. Thieves will not be tolerated. Who are you calling a thief? You're here in the graveyard. That's where people typically loot. We were teleported here. Teleported, you say? Explain yourselves. We are the heroes of Waterdeep, here to investigate a great evil. I'm Valendra, this is my half-sister Lilanva, that's Rune, and this is Sandstar. I'm sure my reputation precedes me. You may dispense your apologies now. Sandstar? From Hillsfar? Why does everyone remember my adventure from Hillsfar? I was with all these people in the Temple of Darkmoon. Why does nobody remember that? Waterdeep, eh? You're a long way from home. Elementster said but a group of heroes from far away would help rid this land of evil. Much like yourselves, we are here searching for an evil that seems to have rooted itself here in these ruins. Perhaps you will have better luck than we in revealing who or what is behind this. May fortune go with you, heroes of Waterdeep. And seriously, do not pillage. We're watching you. Why does everyone remember Hillsfar? Let it go, Sandstar. They're fine with us being here for now, and that's all that matters. We need to find our way out of this graveyard. We also need to prepare our spells, because we have no spells memorized whatsoever. If you had a magic-centric party, and you were thrown into this situation with all of these ghosts, you'd be in some serious trouble, until you found somewhere to rest. Let's get some Melf's Acid Arrow, a Detect Invisibility, and an Improved Identify. We'll also get some Fireballs, a Haste, and a Dispel Magic. We'll get a Fear, an Ice Storm, and a Remove Curse, just in case we find a cursed item. We'll have some Cone of Cold, we'll have a Hold Monster, and while we have 6 level spells with Rune, we cannot yet cast them. We need to gain a few levels first. We shall pray for spells. Valendra will have 1 Cure Light Wounds, and Lilanva will have a lot more spells, a lot more Cure Light Wounds. We'll have all of these. We'll have a Bless, and we'll have a Detect Magic. We will have a Aid, a Flame Blade, 2 Hold Persons, a Resist Cold, and a Resist Fire. You never know when those might be useful. We'll have a Prayer, Create Food and Water, Dispel Magic, and Remove Paralysis. That one's going to be really handy. As for level 4 spells, we'll have Cure Serious Wounds, Neutralize Poison, Protection from Evil 10 feet, and 5th level spells, True Seeing, and Cure Critical Wounds. Can we rest here? Yes, we can! We found the quiet part of the graveyard, which means we have all of our spells back. As for things that aren't back, we don't have this wand that we were using in the last game. We actually don't have quite a few things, which is a shame, but we have kept quite a few of our other items. This sword looked just like this in the previous game, but this sword looked a lot cooler in Eye of the Beholder 2. All of the items that had unique graphics have had their graphics normalized. The golden plate mail is now just normal looking plate mail, which is a shame. But what can you do? We're going to have to explore here and find a way forward. That's what we're going to have to do. Did anybody bring a map with them? Unfortunately, I left my map back in my tavern. Great, so we're stumbling around blind like always, and finding more ghosts. Wonderful. Unfortunately, this game does not have an auto-map feature that Lands of Lore 1 did, so we're going to be trying our best to remember landmarks as we're walking around. There appears to be a landmark there. Either that or we've reached the easternmost part of this clearing. These ghosts aren't too difficult to deal with, and fortunately Sandstar is actually quite capable in melee combat. Otherwise, Lilandra would have to be in melee combat, and I think the hammer that she has there is not a melee weapon. Let's see about dealing with you. There we go. Any more ghosts here? Some of these trees don't look all that sturdy to me. I wonder. Maybe we could use something to hack down those trees, like the +2 axe that I made sure was transferred over with us, because you never know when you might need an axe, or any kind of magical weapon. Just a good idea to have all kinds of magical weaponry. I want to keep exploring this area first before I decide to try and, well, we've just found more ghosts, haven't we? Of course we've found more ghosts. I imagine we could use Turn Undead to make them run away, but making them run away is not good for us gaining experience, and we do want to gain some more experience. At least these foes are very slow, and we don't need to worry about them attacking quickly. They do appear in quite large quantities, though. Massively large quantities, and if we didn't have things like the longsword +5 from the very first game, I imagine hitting these foes would be a lot more difficult. Nothing here that I can see. Then again, everything sort of does look the same, considering it's just a giant clearing full of graves. Just seeing if there isn't anything loot-wise that I can get. There might be something. That looks... Ooh, I believe we've found something. I don't like what we found. Making your way through the forest, you come upon a great tomb consecrated to the fallen warriors of Myth Drannor. Ancient boughs, high above, cast shadows everywhere, which shift and darken in the grip of a sudden, icy wind. Do you wish to enter the Mausoleum? It can't hurt to have a look. The worst thing that will happen is that we'll die horribly. Let's hope that doesn't happen. Entering. You know what? Now is a great time to save the game. Let us save here, and then move in. Break camp. At least we're away from all the ghosts. And it sounds like there are worse things in here. We must be cautious. Indeed. More undead, most likely. I can deal with them with my clerical powers. Let's hope your clerical powers are enough. 4 bones down will show the way. I think it's time for some spell casting. It definitely is time for some spell casting. Let's get a little bit of buffing going. Let's get Bless ready. There was no sound for that spell, which is curious. Let us get Aid on you. And then I think Protection from Evil, 10 feet. That should probably be sufficient. Maybe Haste just to see if we can deal with the foes that we encounter very quickly with that. Can't hurt to have Haste ready. So what lies down here? Well, that's not a great sight at all. Looks like a ghostly foe. A ghostly foe indeed. But one that is not too difficult to defeat. You're saying that. You're not the one being hit by them. Haste is doing a great job of dealing with these foes, though Sandstar has just grown weaker. It seems like these foes do a good job of draining strength. Sandstar has only 14 strength right now, and could do with a bit of healing. Cure Light Wounds, as usual, doesn't do very much, and there are lots of digital sounds all around us. That's something that the developers of Eye of the Beholder 3 wanted a lot of. Digitized sounds everywhere, for better or for worse. Here is a potion of giant strength and more foes. But fortunately, we have fireballs, and fireballs are pretty good at thinning the numbers of enemies, especially these undead. Lendra's doing a great job of hitting them. If we didn't have that +5 longsword, we'd probably be in some serious trouble. Alright, let's be cautious. Enemies could appear from anywhere, and they move extremely quickly. I have my magic at the ready if we need it. It's gotten very quiet. I don't like that it's gotten quiet. But you didn't like it when it was loud. I like when it's quiet even less. Oh wait, now it's not quiet anymore. We need to be very cautious as we explore this location, for who knows what threats we'll encounter. There is a pressure plate. If there's anything I remember about pressure plates, it's that they are dangerous. Let's step on it, and then step off it. Nothing? Aha! That's not good. That's really not good. So, a crushing wall of sorts. How are we going to avoid that? Well, it doesn't seem like it's going to hit us if we stand where the pressure plate is. That's you just guessing, isn't it? It's me hoping. One thing I do want to check before I try and deal with that trap is to see... Ooh, I can do stuff with my inventory while we're in this menu, which means that I can switch things around without enemies trying to kill me. That is a good change. Let's now break camp and see just what this says. Heads up. Well, I think I know what that's warning us about. It's warning us about that trap of impending doom. But I see a switch over there. If we're fast enough, we might be able to get to it. And if we're not fast enough, we'll get caught in a trap. Do you have any better ideas? No, I don't. And so, we'll all move on my 3. After we just see how long it will take. Quite a while. 1, 2, 3! There we go! Did it work? I don't see it getting closer to us. Then it worked. Marvelous. We need to keep our eyes peeled for traps like that. This place is going to be tricky. And with that, we've dealt with our first true trap of Eye of the Beholder 3. And it was a nasty-looking one. Let's move forward and be very careful of all the enemies we might find. There's a way there. Ooh. Look at that. There's a switch here. Hopefully it'll be as useful as the other one. But I can't seem to move it. Let me try. Maybe this needs a finer touch. With obvious reluctance, the rusty lever yields. There we go. Never say I'm not useful, everyone. Oh, we don't. Not while you're in earshot, anyway. What was that? Nothing. Let's save and carry on this way. Hopefully we won't find any more enemies nearby. That's wishful thinking, I know. And that allows us to get over to here. This is not going to be good, is it? Ready yourselves. Oh, there are lots of enemies here. Well, fireball time. That will help deal with some of them. We're going to back up substantially so that they can only attack us from one angle. And that was a good idea. We don't want to be surrounded. And we're fine. Though I imagine there'll be more foes like that. There are probably going to be more of these undead warriors. They look... Oh! That is bad. That is very bad. And it seems to be entirely impervious to my magic. Might be my turn to try and turn it. It does look like an undead monster. It does, but it doesn't seem to care. And so we're fighting a giant undead beast. It's taking a tiny amount of damage from our attacks, and that's what I'm going to count on when it comes to defeating this foe, as we do the sidestep tango. This is only the first dungeon in the game, and we're facing horrendous-looking monsters. And this monster does hit quite hard. And now it's gone. A key. Let's hold on to this. Well, I was hardly going to suggest throwing it away. Not after all the effort we went to get it. You need a little bit of healing, I feel. I certainly do. Thank you. It's very kind of you. I don't want you to fall unconscious. That's the last thing we want. Indeed. I am invaluable after all. There are more of these foes. I'm not surprised there are more. But we can take them. At least I hope we can take them. We can back up and deal with them, though I don't know if they keep reappearing every time we move to this doorway. We can hear the cracking of bones. And there's another one. I was about to move forward and turn left down that corridor, but no! This foe appeared and said hello! Also, you may still be weakened. I want you to regain your strength if that's possible. Down here appears to be more enemies! Hooray! Said nobody ever at all the enemies. I wonder if, Ice Storm is going to be effective. Let's find out. You're moving up by yourself, which is, not great because now there's a few of you, and that did some damage. That did damage. I didn't think it would, considering these foes are obviously undead, and undead tend not to take too much harm from cold effects. But we're at least dealing with a few of these undead foes, though I do get the feeling they're constantly reappearing. It's a good thing none of them are flanking us, because that could definitely happen with this room that we're in. Looks like there's an upper path as well as a lower path. It's a good thing we have all this healing. And when we come back, folks, I'm actually going to close this door, because I don't want these foes to get towards us without me having the clue that they're getting here by opening that door. Sounds like that are definitely useful. The constant clicking of bones is less useful. It just tells me there's something perilous nearby. Probably those undead warriors. And so, when we come back, folks, we'll continue to explore the Mausoleum. And hopefully, we'll find what we're searching for here. Because we very well might not. I hope we do. And so, I'll catch you next time, folks, and I'll see you then. Later.